If anybody wants to call in, we took a bunch of calls in the first hour, but if anybody wants to vent on the Miami Heat, do so. 3-0. It's one of those days. I feel like it's one of those days that'll feel good for you guys. It's rainy.
To look forward.
Nah, 24-hour rule. Everybody says 24-hour rule.
Yep.
We get a 24 hours too. If they get 24 hours, we get 24 hours. We look ahead to because we don't even know who we're playing yet, quite frankly. We got to find out tonight.
Wow. Can I just tell you,
what are the options?
Don't be boots on the ground on Friday.
Why?
Because it's going to start your weekend off bad.
Nah, I got to. Because what if it's the end? What if it is? Boots got to be there.
All right.
Let's see what this guy wants. 562, we're on the air. What's your name?
Hey, guys. It's Ricardo again.
Hey, buddy. What's up?
Nothing much. I have to, vent a little bit about the Heat last night from what I had seen.
Yeah.
That embarrassment.
Go ahead.
Honestly, it seemed like from the get-go, like I was saying on the telecast, that the body language wasn't there. Jimmy just looked off. He got to his spots only to miss them about 70% of the time, and the same for Bam, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we heard him in the postgame saying, let's get him the ball, right? But how do we get him the ball, and he's missing his layups? He's missing his stop and post, getting up into the paint, and there's no consistency anywhere. Like, we wasted a beautiful game from a veteran in Kyle Lowry, showing him that he's willing to pick us up. And look, he did it off the bench. You can see him gasping for air, running down the court, trying to get steals, play defense, and we just wasted a perfect opportunity for guys to kind of get that spark up. And he was providing it only for us to just fall flat from our main guys like Jimmy and Bam. But I think Spo needs to maybe draw up a different game plan. Maybe play Duncan Robinson a little bit more. Maybe create some shots. Maybe get other guys opportunities to just change the game plan a little bit. Because what did we do last year against Atlanta? We started Duncan Robinson. We went off on the first game. Clearly, if we can get some shooters out there with some consistency, we can get it done.
All right. Thanks for the call, Ricardo. Appreciate it, dude. And what's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up? How you doing, man?
I'm all right.
All right, so let me go ahead and knock this out. Leroy took the words out my mouth. I'm going to be straight up with you. Been watching these cats for a while. You ain't got no dogs, bro. You ain't got no dogs. Tyler Hero wanted to start at the beginning of the year, bro. You got your chance. You ain't no dog. Bam Adebayo, bro. You ain't that dog. P.J. Brown, Zoe, Eddie Jones, them dudes ain't walking back through the door. The Heat ain't got no dogs, man. Bottom line. And that goes on the coaching. I think the coaching ain't got a little complacency because guess what? Spo ain't got nobody looking over his shoulder like he did back in the day. He ain't worried about Pat Riley coming down and coaching the team.
Wow.
You ain't got no dogs, man.
You think Spo's got fat cat syndrome because he doesn't fear the old man?
Bottom line, dude, complacency is set in, and you can kind of see that. You can kind of see that on the floor. The players are going to take on the personality of the coach. It goes all the way down to Optimus. You ain't got no dogs, man. Bottom line.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate the time, man.
When you look at every other team in the league and look at their number one, their stud, they're all different than what the Heat stud is. Not in their impact, but how they impact the game.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And so when you look at this roster and you think you have a lot of good players, but do you have that dude? And a lot of people say it's Jimmy. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But when you look at all the other stars on all the other teams, Jimmy is not one of those guys.
I mean, I get what people are saying. Like, he's not a guy who puts up 40 on the reg or anything like that. Like, he has. I mean, he's had some pretty incredible games. The highest, like, backs against the wall in Boston. He puts up 47,
right.
Triple doubles in the final. So, like, it's hard to say he's not that guy. I don't feel like, and which is why I think in a game like that, he gets more of the benefit of the doubt than a guin like Bam does, because we have seen him.
But here's the thing with your star.
Mm-hmm.
Your star's always the go-to guy.
Yeah.
He never gets a pass.
I know.
In the biggest moment, he doesn't get a pass.
I know, but I think I get you. I think the thing and that's an interesting thing. I don't know what that is. Bam is usually the guy who Bam and Tyler take a lot more heat than Jimmy does. I don't feel like Jimmy played a good game yesterday. I don't
Right.
feel like he did.
But here's my point.
I would say Bam had a worse game.
If you go to all the other teams, like we talk about, that have that guy,
Mhm.
end of the day, all the blame and the pressure goes to that guy.
That's true.
I think sometimes Jimmy needs to feel that pressure a little bit more so that he responds to it.
Yeah, I think
He goes in too many of these games willy-nilly talking about facilitating or whatever. This ain't that time of year, dude.
He didn't yesterday though. Yesterday he tried.
Just bad.
Yesterday was just bad. Yesterday he just got off to a cold start.
But you understand
But
what
no,
I'm saying?
I get you. Yeah.
Like
is Jimmy Butler really that good? Yeah, you usually get those segments.
Is Jimmy Butler, let's go to say Dame Dollar. It's a different, like, I'm not saying he doesn't impact this team, but what I'm saying is when you talk about the stars.
I think well, I wouldn't put Dame's not in that tier anymore, I don't think.
In what tier?
He's not. When you were saying that, I thought you were talking like Giannis, Jokic, KD. I thought you were talking about that. Because I don't think I think he's with Dame now. Like Jimmy's. I mean, look at his team success. Like he's had better success over the last 4 years than Dame has.
Of course. But I'm saying, like,
you're just talking about a bucket getter. Jimmy's a better all around player.
Okay, but again, when we talk about this time of year,
mm-hmm.
You need a bucket getter.
Yeah, but I think
the Heat here, for as much as we talk about all these players being all around players, their defense has sucked.
I think the question is more this. It's not really a stats. It's like, okay, we've seen now 2 years with Jimmy have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 look like they're going to be pretty meh. And when he is your max star, you're going to pay him $50 million by the time he's in his mid-30s. You know, like, is more heat, more expected of him, is more urgency expected of him. Is that what you're saying?
That everybody else that is in the position of Jimmy gets all of the heat.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go talk about the other guys.
That's true.
Okay? They don't. When you talk about
you know what I think it is with him, though? This is what I think it is. I think that he's gotten a lot of that heat as the bad guy before he got here. I think his first year with the Heat bought a lot of grace with him because people saw him go in the finals with everybody hurt and go toe-to-toe with the Lakers. I think that bought him a lot. That's why I think that is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's what I think. That's what I think it is. I think it's the fact that people really feel like Jimmy's not the problem. I think most people look at it as a situation like this guy doesn't have the right pieces around him.
Regardless of what the problem is, that's where you go. That's where you go.
Okay.
Like when you have a guy,
he wasn't good enough yesterday. I agree with that.
When you have that guy on your team, that supposed guy, that means that regardless of what anybody else is doing, you get yours.
Let's go to Mike. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, guys? Yeah, last night, just incredibly disappointing. The same issues popping up over again. Heat coming out flat. The offense, non-existent. We have to rely on 50-year-old Kyle Lowry to have the game of his Heat career, and that's just not cutting it. Jimmy, I think, is great at times, but he's just way too inconsistent, and that's the pattern of this Heat team because they're not good enough as a whole to come out like that. And you saw even as a team like the Hawks, who they should manhandle, he's had too many issues at home, and even on the road, they lose to bad teams. They beat teams they shouldn't. So that's on the organization itself, and I think Riley has got to go whale hunting. I think Bradley Beal, they've got to get a piece like that because I love Hero, but I just don't think that guy. He's an excellent rotational guy, 6th, 7th man off the bench, but we need a legit guy who can drop you 30-plus points because we can't just rely on Jimmy. And Bam has shown he's not consistent enough as a second option to be that guy. So I think that's the only fix for the team because their offense has been atrocious all season. And you're seeing even at home against a subpar team, they really struggle at times. And even last night, Capella is just a monster in the load, and Bam's just getting manhandled. So I just think as great as Spoelstra is as a coach, I think it relies on the organization. We really got to revamp this roster because they're just not cutting it. You know, being a play-in team with this many high salaries and names on paper, it's not translating to wins. So I think that's got to be low. But hopefully, finally, I hope they can at least win on Friday, be competitive because Milwaukee is a terrible matchup. Boston, I think, would have been better off. But hopefully, guys, I don't know because Toronto, I fear Toronto. I think Toronto, even Chicago, could beat them with the way they come out at that time. So
Oh,
hopefully,
they've had trouble with both of those teams this year. They've had both. Like it's not going to be a walk in the park either way.
They've
and-
had trouble with what I would classify as samesies. All the teams that have been doing the same exact thing they're doing.
like
That's why you're in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In this predicament.
no, look, it's a revamp is a good way to put it. Like it's one of these things where, and I think they got to figure out how they want to go about this because it felt like early on in the year. I mean, early on in the year was just bleh. Then like kind of the middle of the year, it looked like the Bam show, Bam and Tyler, that pick and roll, the young guys saying it, and then Jimmy kind of like it felt like after the All-Star break, it just kind of became Jimmy's show. That also coincided with Bam not playing as well. But I don't know if that's a detriment to Jimmy's just telling these guys, okay, it's time for me to tune up. I just think that they need to get things in a better order. If that is going to be the same three they bring back next year, they got to figure out just a better hierarchy of how things go. Because obviously we know Jimmy is very competitive, but it did feel very much like this year it was, we'll get it. We'll get it together. We'll get it together. And I don't know, man. Like, here's what I would say to your point about the star thing. I don't feel like Giannis goes about it like that. I feel like Giannis is like, I will kill everybody every single night, no matter what. You know, now in fairness, their team's a lot deeper than the Heat's, like a lot deeper. It's not.
Yeah, but it all starts with one guy.
But it does start with him. You know, Jokic,
Because guess what? Chris Middleton was out for a substantial amount of time, and Giannis took over.
True. And Drew Holiday was good for them too. So I think that is the thing. Like, I think this Heat team, this core, it's nice that they got as far as they did. Great. That's not they have those banners, but the banners I thought this was a championship organization, not a get to the championship organization. So you can't start acting like fat cats, like all regular season matter, until this core wins the ring. Then you can act like that.
But I've been saying that all year.
Do you agree with me? I think that's a yes. After this.